Alright, hey everyone, here on AUDCAD. I took a sell on this Friday during the New York session. A buy, took a trade during the New York session. It was coming back to an area of interest and I was hoping it would react. First thing, this would be counter trend because definitely the flow is down. I think I got a little bit confused. All I know I did with a few things. The counter trend and the MAs on the higher time frame. So what I first noticed, let me start over. So we're in this overall downflow. We were examining this area. I believe we were talking about this pair Friday morning during London in the Unicorn program. And it broke down, made lower lows on the smaller time frame, and then was coming near this area of interest from these last sellers who got taken out by the temporary buyers. So what I was looking at was a reaction, hopefully, to take it up to this area where there was really nothing in this area. There was nothing to stop it from coming at least up here and then going down to resume the trend again. But yeah, it was counter trend. I even wrote counter trend risky to buy, but volume is good for the buys. I saw this big volume on the buys. Not a lot of volume up here, which is typically good for the trend. I know this isn't necessarily a trend just yet because it's not higher highs, higher lows really, other than right here and here. And then even the push down didn't have a lot of volume. So if I was kind of looking at this as like a push up and then a pullback with no volume. And then in this area, it reacted fairly strongly when it hit this trap area. And there was some increasing volume down here in this area. So with that said, I did check my higher time frame in the MAs, but I'm not sure I'm looking at it right. I think one thing to notice that on this overall pullback for the downtrend, this was like a primary, secondary. We broke down, and this was the on phase, and then we tested and blasted down. So I think it should be logical to say that this area should show some reaction, and it could have came back to here. I still believe that. I'm trying to figure out why it might not. All right, one thing I did look at was, so I realized it was counter trend, so I went and looked at my MAs on the higher time frame, and I saw that it had already reached the 50. But this is kind of a different kind of counter trend. I think the counter trend that we would look at for a short term would be somewhere like if it was in this area and had not reached the 50 MA yet. So like if we wanted to see if the counter trend was safe in somewhere kind of like this area, I believe, then we'd be okay to try to counter trend it. But this is like a whole different animal, I think, because we had already hit the 50 MA and then came down to this area of interest. Maybe I should just leave this totally alone. Is this kind of like a bounce trade I was trying to do? Maybe I'm a little confused on what actually I was doing. So if anybody has any advice on what this trade is once it reaches back to this last trap area, well, I guess on the 1 hour I need to. So I hope that made sense. But regardless, I'll just go ahead and show you why. So I saw this coming in with higher volume starting down here and this big rejection near this area of interest. So I thought, let's go down to the 5. Let's look at this area as far as the overall last push. There was not much volume on the push down, which is good for me if I'm trying to take it back the other way. There's increasing volume down here, and that's in this area. All these, I know I got tons of black lines everywhere, sorry. But so my thought was, this is my last guy who started. We messed around in this area, started getting some higher volume at the end of the trend. So who is selling down here was my question. Obviously somebody, because it did go for sale. But so let me zoom in a little. So what I was looking at was, here's my guy who started. He tested here, came back, pushed up with nice strong candles, tested again, held, and then we pushed up here, and I was hoping, okay, if this candle could close up here, we have trapped some people selling here. We could have potentially trapped people selling here if this candle would have closed up here, but it didn't. It pushed back right near the end, so I said, okay, we need to wait a little bit. And the volume is increasing too slightly. And this guy kind of just messed around here with increased volume. So I'm like, okay, maybe something's going on. And then this big candle spiked down here. That was where the high volume is on this big candle down. So that, I said, you know what, okay, this isn't going to do anything. There's no trade for me. But when this candle closed here, and then this blue, or this green candle was all the way up here, nice and blue, I said, you know what, it's turning around. This is it. Instead of waiting for this candle to close, another candle possibly to really take this guy out and get a test of that is what I should have waited for. I went ahead and got FOMO, fear of missing out, and entered here. Well, I entered here, but it was moving before the candle closed, and got a bad price. Candle closed here, and then it just kept dragging around. This gave me some hope. I was watching the volumes, but the volumes were super low, and I thought about closing here at break even, but I thought, the standard thing, if it came up this far, I was looking at the pushes. This push looked strong, this looked weak, this looked strong. I said, let's see what it does, and it just hung around, and it eventually just took me out. Had many times that I could have closed it, but I was just, holding on. Just, I guess I believed in the buys for some reason. I think it was pretty clearly telling me that it was wanting to go down, because these high volumes were at the top. That means that they were pushing it down all the step of the way, and we never got rid of this guy. So potentially this was like this B price where we pushed down, came back to the guy who started, tried, came back to the guy who started. So I would need this and a test to take it up, but I never got it. So I believe that was the issue. I just got impatient. Wanted to get a good price, didn't want it to just go. Fear of missing out, FOMO, all that good stuff. So, and this, I only went half a size. I didn't go full size because I didn't really believe in it too much. So I took a full loss, but it was half R. All right, well, sorry for the long video. If anybody has anything they see, feel welcome. All right, thanks.